I'll talk first. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you're listening to this, everyone. Welcome to episode 32 of Outside the Letterbox. I'm Joe Campbell, and joining me is Nick and Alex. Today we're going to be talking about, in addition to our regular What We Watch section, we're going to be doing a covering our the upcoming movies this summer. A lot of movies to get through, a little bit of time to get through it, so let's. It should be a fun one. There's a lot of good content in here that I'm really looking forward to, especially a couple titles in particular stand out here to me. I think it's going to be a good year for movies.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this summer. I think, as much as I love independent movies and Oscar movies and stuff, I think I'm ready to sit in a theater for a couple hours and watch explosions and people get in fistfights and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for summer.
Yeah, no Michael Bay this year, unfortunately. So
no Michael Bay, which depending on
that's really a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alex is rolling his eyes into the back of his head at this point. He's rolling so hard.
Well, but wait, Alex, didn't you like Pain and Gain?
Yeah, that was the only one though.
Okay.
That was its own anomaly.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with if Alex says the only Michael Bay movie he likes is Pain and Gain, I can take that.
Also, as always, just before we get started, you can find more episodes of Outside the Letterbox on our website, the-letterbox.com. You can also go on our YouTube page. We have recently the Fastcast podcast. You can find where Nick and I talked about all the recent Fast and Furious movies. You can find that on there as well.
Which they, I don't think we're going to cover this in our news section, but they just announced Fast and Furious 8 for 2017.
They did, I heard. I'm surprised they're waiting that long to make the next one.
I'm actually kind of surprised it's that soon, because it's 2 years after this one, and they kind of, I don't know, I just kind of got the vibe from everyone that they wanted to take a break, so I was kind of expecting we would get like a 3-year gap, but, hey, if they find a way to make another entertaining movie, I'm all for it.
I will be there in 2017. I will watch it. And on our YouTube channel, you can leave a comment, subscribe, anything you want. If you want to be nice. If you don't, that's cool. Just listen to us right now. So shut up. Anyway, moving into our recent watches. I guess I'll kick us off here. I watched most recently a few different movies. I watched Mission Impossible, the original, the first one. I watched God's Not Dead, the infamous Christian film that came out last year. I finally got around to it. I don't know. I have a weakness for looking up these movies like this, like Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. I watched that last year. It was
why?
It was so wonderfully terrible. I enjoyed it. I should make like a whole post on that one sometime.
Have you seen? I don't know if you noticed, but the Left Behind Nicolas Cage movie just went on Netflix either today or a couple days ago.
I did see, and it's on my Netflix queue already. I'm so excited to watch that movie. You have no idea. And then something else I watched was I watched both Airplane movies. I've been kind of going on this spree of these parody movies from that kind of the whole Leslie Nielsen group. But I watched Airplane 2, the sequel, for the first time. And the only thing I'm really going to say about that is that it has one of the best William Shatner performances outside of Star Trek I think I've ever seen. This guy should have gone into comedy. I'm telling you, it's surprising that he didn't break into more of these parody movies after he did this one.
Is he like a main character?
He's a side character. He actually doesn't even show up until probably about 3/4 into the movie, and he's in like the good last fourth of the movie, and he's just everything you love about William Shatner in a comedy, and it works so well. I want to see more of this William Shatner. So maybe if we're lucky, we'll get him in one of the Scary Movie sequels.
No.
Parody movies have gone so downhill. And then the other thing I noticed was, Nick, do you remember did you stay for the end credits of Dumb and Dumber 2?
No, because I remember I went when I saw Dumb and Dumber 2. I went to the theater that Joe works at, and I had like a bunch of screenings lined up. And so as soon as the credits hit of that one, I immediately ran to go catch the my next screening of whatever movie it was. So I know I didn't watch the end credits of it.
Well, at the very end of the end credits, they have like a little teaser, like not really like a full teaser, but it's like a little thing on the screen that suggests that they're gonna make Dumb and Dumber 4, spelled FOR. And they're like, yeah, coming in whatever 2018 or something like that. I doubt they're ever gonna actually make that, but Airplane 2 does a similar thing where at the very end of the end credits it says Airplane 3 coming soon, and that character says like, you'll know they'll be expecting it, which I find hilarious because there never was an Airplane 3. So yeah, that pretty much rounds up what I watched. Nothing much to say about Mission Impossible. It's Mission Impossible. It's great. Watch it. I don't care.
Yeah, I've been meaning to rewatch those because I've seen Ghost Protocol a couple times since it came out. I've seen Mission Impossible 3 a couple times. Mission Impossible 2 I don't like, so I might rewatch it just to I don't know, maybe give it a second chance. But the first Mission Impossible I've been meaning to get around and rewatch for quite some time now.
Yeah, it's a good one. You should. So then, Nick, what did you watch in the most recent history that's worth noting?
Well, so I've been on a bit of a impromptu mafia marathon. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to is the Canon podcast, and kind of every week they talk about important movies or noteworthy movies, and they kind of debate whether they should be included in the canon of great movies. And this past week they did a pretty good episode on the Godfather trilogy, and it kind of spurred me to rewatch those movies because I haven't seen them since before I went to film school like 5 years ago. And it was funny because when I watched them that first time, I really only watched them because I was about to go to film school and I hadn't seen The Godfather yet. So I went and I bought the whole trilogy, watched them in a period of like 2 or 3 days. Really enjoyed them. I think that the first two are some of the best movies ever made, for different reasons. It's kind of interesting when you talk about great movies, and the Godfather isn't as apparently a great movie as Citizen Kane or Star Wars in terms of like, the Godfather is just a really good movie. It's a really good story, just really well told. It's not like, oh, look at these dynamic camera moves, or invented, it had this revolutionary technology, or like, oh my gosh, people all around the world, fell in love with it, or something like that. So yeah, I mean, Godfather Part 3 isn't as great, but whatever. That's a debate for another time. But so I finished that, and then I was just kind of in this mafia mindset, and I was like, I got to keep these good vibes going. So I rewatched Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas, which is in my top 10 or 15 favorite movies of all time. And even though it's a very much a very different movie from The Godfather, it's still satisfied my needs to just keep this mafia marathon going. So I love those movies. I don't know if you guys have. I think you guys have seen most, if not all of them. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been into this past week.
I believe it or not, I've only seen the first Godfather. Actually, I haven't seen the Godfather Part 2, despite everyone telling me it's the greatest thing since sliced ham or whatever.
I've never seen
Godfather
any
Part
of the
2.
Godfathers, honestly.
Godfather Part 2 is better than Godfather Part 1.
Really?
Godfather Part 3 is the best, though. I think we can all agree on that.
That's what I've heard. Yes, absolutely.
Just the thing is, a lot of people really rag on Godfather Part 3, and it's not that it's nowhere near the level of the first two movies, and it's not that it's a bad movie so much as just like it's not the same. Like on paper, everything you kind of need for a Godfather movie is there, with the exception of like Robert Duvall wanted to be paid more, so they just wrote him out of the third movie, which is a huge, like, that's like the biggest. If I could change one thing about that movie, it would just be like have Robert Duvall in the movie, because he adds so much in the first two that his presence is sorely lacking in Part 3. But so all the things that you kind of need in a good Godfather movie are there on paper, but it just seems like the energy isn't there. Coppola kind of famously had to do the movie because he was kind of in debt and the studio didn't give him the time he wanted to write the script and to shoot and whatever. Like he wanted it to come out in like 1991, like sometime in like the spring or summer, and the studio was like, "Hey, we don't have anything big at Christmas time in 1990, so we're gonna release your movie then." And so it's a lot of those things where it's like how much of it's Coppola's fault, how much of it's the studio's fault, and you know, it's by no means a bad movie, but it's one of those movies that when you realize how many factors went into preventing it from possibly being a great movie, you can't help but feel kind of disappointed by that. So.
Well, I'm telling you, Nick, if you're going to continue on your mafia movie spree, you need to watch the best mafia movie of all, Jane Austen's Mafia.
Okay, so yeah, I was talking to Joe a couple days ago about this, and you started sending me clips of this movie, and it just looks like the most ridiculous thing in like the best way possible. Like you mentioned a couple minutes ago how spoof movies have gone completely down the drain, and it looks like this is one of like the last good ones. I think it came out in like the late '90s or something like that. So like right before Scary Movie became big and kind of took everything down the drain with it. So yeah, I've added it to my watch list. I don't know when I'll get around to it, but I'll definitely try to check it out sometime.
You should. I haven't seen it in years, but I remember it being quite entertaining. I enjoyed that one. So then that leads us to Alex. What have you been watching lately?
Recently I've been catching up actually on House of Cards. I watched the first season when it came out a while back, and then just stopped after the second season and then the third season. So I finally just got through the second season now. It's really good. I'm excited. I'm excited for the third season though. I think like Joe and you and I were talking about it. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how this how the next season is going to take a turn, and I'm sure they've. I mean, I haven't really read up on any news of it or anything like that, but they are going to be doing like the fourth season, correct?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
Fourth season's been greenlit.
Okay, good. Yeah, then yeah, I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, which is important because if the show ended with season 3, I'd be really pissed off right now.
Okay. Yeah, I was sad to see some characters go. Some of my favorite characters are not in the show anymore, so I was really disappointed with that. But I mean, still interested in seeing where it leads. But other than that, man, for actual movies, I've been watching. I rewatched Killing Them Softly, which is the was it kind of a
Brad Pitt?
Yeah, Brad Pitt sort of like mob movie. That's a really good movie. I like that one a lot.
I remember when that came out, a lot of people didn't care for it, but
yeah, it's kind of
there's something about it that it works for me.
yeah, and it definitely holds up too on like a second viewing. There's definitely still stuff that's can keep you interested even if you know exactly where the story's going. But other than that, I also recently watched The Double, which is the second film from the director of Submarine, Richard Ayoade.
The guy from the what's it called?
IT Crowd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like if you've seen Submarine, which I highly recommend, I really like that movie. This is kind of like quite a departure from that. In that Submarine was a bit I'd say a bit more like lighthearted because it's about these like two young kids kind of falling in love. But The Double is kind of this surreal movie in which Jesse Eisenberg is just working at this company, and suddenly a second sort of Jesse Eisenberg shows up and starts kind of like taking over his life. And it's definitely like a really kind of weird movie. But I found it really interesting. It kind of took a lot of different turns here and there that wasn't really expected. So it's something that's I find really interesting to watch.
So is it a comedy though?
Sort of. It's kind of like a comedy. Parts of it are drama, parts of it a little bit thriller. I wouldn't say that there's a whole lot of comedy. Not like in Submarine Submarine was pretty much a comedy romance, but this one's a little bit more dramatic. It's also like the visual style of it is really great too.
Yeah,
It's very,
I heard it's very Terry Gilliam-esque.
I, I mean, I can't really comment on that. I haven't seen Terry Gilliam's films, but
Monty Python, kind of British humor.
um,
12 Monkeys,
I, I
Brazil.
guess. I mean, Richard Haydn is. I think he is.
We just exposed and embarrassed Alex for one of his cinematic gaps, but
Well, it's okay because I've seen barely any Terry Gilliam's movies like at all. I just know him from Monty Python primarily.
you guys should do a Terry Gilliam movie for film literates in the future.
That would be
All right.
trippy, very bizarre. We should.
Okay, I'll be down.
Um, it's interesting though. I didn't know that Richard Ramsey did directing.
Yeah. This is his second film. Previous to that, I believe he's done like just music videos and stuff. I think he also done like I don't know. He's not really directed, but I think he has worked on like a few shows as well. But I
Oh yeah, it
don't
was like
know.
a Community. He did some directing on.
Oh, okay. Then yeah. I don't know what his next work's gonna be, if he's gonna do another feature-length film or whatnot. But
It's gonna be The Watch too.
Watch two.
The rewatching.
Rewatching again.
But yeah, that's what I've been recently watching.
Awesome. Well, moving on from that, just a few topics before we move on to our main one. We got a few teaser trailers that came out this week. This was actually a pretty big week for trailers.
Yeah, actually, as you're talking, I'm currently adding more.
I see that.
Actually, yeah, there are a couple. Yeah.
So to breeze through a couple, I don't think we need to say very much about the next two, or the first two, first off, but because everyone's seen them, everyone has an opinion about them. But Star Wars: The Force Awakens has another teaser trailer that came out this week. I'm excited. I think we all are. I think I can safely speak for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very much so.
It looks good. It looks fun. It's Star Wars. You got to see Han and Chewie, so it's good.
Yeah,
Batman.
I thought it was. I think just the kind of the one thing I want to say is I kind of thought it was a perfect teaser in that it showed us a lot of stuff but didn't really tell us anything. And I would be perfectly okay if the rest of the marketing was like this trailer. Like, show us different things, but don't tell us how it connects.
I'd be okay if there aren't any more trailers, to be perfectly honest. I feel like I've seen enough to get me invested in it and say, like, all right, I can be behind this, but I don't need to see more.
Yeah, I just highly doubt. I would bet money that between August and October, we'll get a new one.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Another big one that came out was Batman v Superman. We got our first look at this new movie, which for me wasn't really all that new because I'd seen the Comic-Con teaser that came out like a year ago or something.
Yeah.
Which this is basically a slightly different version of that. What do you guys think of this first off before I give you my brief thoughts?
I'll let you go first, Alex.
Okay. I mean, kind of my main question leading up to this was how like Batman was gonna look. Now that they've cast Ben Affleck or Christian Bale, and so how are they gonna change that? But I think it looks good. I like the suit. I think Ben Affleck's gonna do well with the Batman character in this. It'll be kind of. I'm also interested, or I like how the kind of the turn they're taking with this, and that people are kind of revolting against Superman, and he's now almost the bad guy in this. And so I think that's kind of cool, and that makes sense as to where like the kind of the fight between Batman and Superman kind of arises. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing how it kind of plays out, and but I definitely have a little bit more faith in Ben Affleck as Batman now that I've actually seen him in the trailer.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Alex and say that there's one shot. There are a lot of really good shots in that trailer, but there's one in particular that really stood out to me, and it's a really simple one, and I think it's just like Batman's kind of like ducking underneath something and coming up and just kind of like walking towards the camera. And to me, that one shot is the most comic booky Batman has ever looked but in the best way possible. Like, it looks like he just leapt off the pages of the graphic novels, in a way that Christopher Nolan's Batman never did. Like, Christopher Nolan's take on Batman, like, as much as I like those movies, was always, I think, more grounded in the real world. Like, whenever they would be like, all right, like, Bruce Wayne has this armor, and like, oh, we're gonna like come up with the idea that it was abandoned military gear or whatever. And I don't know if they'll throw in an explanation for Ben Affleck's Batman armor or whatever, but
that suit does look really cool though.
Yeah,
I like that.
I just really dig it. As for the story or whatever we've kind of been presented with, I think this is probably the best of not necessarily the Man of Steel ending, but kind of the perception of it, because a lot of people kind of complained about how Man of Steel had so much of this destruction and whatever, and the movie didn't seem to comment on it. And so I don't know if the filmmakers kind of realized that, or it wasn't until kind of people saw the movie and started complaining about that they realized that. But it seems like they're kind of addressing those concerns in this movie. And I kind of like that as the idea for a central conflict, pitting these two characters against each other. I do kind of hope, because this trailer is very negative towards Superman, and as much as I think that's kind of interesting, is I kind of still like the idea of Superman is actually like a good guy and whatever. So I would love it if it came out with an anti-Batman trailer in the future, because they recently released a pair of posters for Batman and Superman. One is Superman's face, but the bat symbols kind of scrawled across it, and they released one of Batman and the Superman symbols kind of over his face. And so if there's going to be this kind of symmetry in the marketing, I would love to see a mirror version of this teaser, but just kind of like Superman's opinion of Batman, because everyone's looking at Superman and they're like, oh, hey, he's this false god or whatever, and is he gonna destroy us all, or like, what's his deal? And yet at the same time, I can look at Batman's situation and be like, hey, here's this vigilante who's just running around and whatever. Like, that's not cool either. So I'd be interested if that's the approach they take in the marketing. That might be too much wishing on my part, but I think that would be cool. But yeah, either way, I'm excited for the movie, especially to see Jeremy Irons as a hopefully badass Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's actually probably one of the things I'm most looking forward to is Jeremy Irons as Alfred in this movie. I just love that guy. He's such a great, fun actor to watch. For me, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't blown away. I wasn't blown away by the trailer. It has some beautiful imagery, which Zack Snyder is great at. I think there's a little bit of I think some of my attitude coming into this is one that I've heard a lot of the kind of the DC naysayers say, which I've been kind of trying to steer clear of that, because I think it's fitting that DC has kind of more grounded, darker tones than the Marvel movies. And I was fine with that, with the Batman movies and Man of Steel. I'm actually not the biggest fan of Man of Steel, but it's fun. It's whatever. But then when it came to this trailer, I kind of watched it and I was like, yep, it's another dark dystopian DC movie. Alrighty, let's get it over with. Move on to Suicide Squad already. So I mean, like, it looks fine. I just wish they try to do something different than kind of the muted colors, the dark gravelly voices, the characters glaring at each other while floating in the air, and that kind of stuff. I feel like we've seen enough of that by now, and I'm ready for something new. Even something as different as maybe Tim Burton's version or the Adam West version or something. And this is very much a different style of Batman than we've seen before. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking this. I just feel like I've seen the movie already, at least stylistically speaking. I'm like, I know exactly what it's going to look like beat for beat. Story-wise, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But I'm ready for something different.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the whole like, I actually don't mind Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. I actually really like Watchmen. I really kind of enjoy 300 for what it is, and Man of Steel, I have problems with, but I don't think it's a terrible movie. I do think I prefer, obviously we'll find out when this movie comes out. But I think I would prefer his take on Batman as opposed to his take on Superman. And I guess kind of my only hesitance is it seems like the whole DC